Let's be real for a moment. You're ambitious. You've got dreams bigger than most, and deep down, you know you're capable of extraordinary things. But here's the problem. You're lazy. Not all the time, but often enough that it's holding you back. You know what you should be doing. You've read the books, watched the motivational videos, maybe even set up a whole vision board. But when it comes down to actually doing the work, that's where things fall apart. It's a vicious cycle. You start with good intentions. Maybe it's a new year, a new month, or even just a random Monday when you tell yourself, this is it. This is the time I finally turn things around. The first few days, you're on fire. You're fueled by that initial burst of motivation, feeling like nothing can stop you. But then procrastination creeps in, as sneaky as that one friend who always forgets their wallet at dinner. You tell yourself that you'll get to it tomorrow, but tomorrow becomes next week, and next week turns into never. Before you know it, another year has passed, and you're staring at the same goals, wondering where all the time went. Sound familiar? Trust me, I've been there too. And if you're anything like me, this isn't just frustrating, it's soul-crushing. Because deep down, you know you're capable of more. You feel the weight of your potential like a ticking clock in the back of your mind, reminding you that time doesn't wait for anyone. It's not just laziness, it's the guilt that comes with it. The shame of knowing you're wasting your talent, your energy, your one shot at the life you've imagined. But here's the good news. This isn't some insurmountable flaw in your character. It's not a permanent label you're stuck with. Laziness is just a habit, and like any habit, it can be broken. What you need isn't another superficial life hack or temporary burst of inspiration. What you need is a deeper understanding of what's really holding you back and a practical, no-nonsense plan to move forward. That's exactly what we're going to talk about. Let's start with the truth about laziness. It's not about being incapable or unmotivated. It's about inertia. In physics, inertia is the tendency of an object at rest to stay at rest unless acted upon by an external force. Sound familiar? It should, because it's the exact reason you're stuck. When you're sitting there scrolling through your phone, binge-watching yet another show, or just staring blankly at your to-do list, you're not being lazy because you want to be. You're stuck because getting started feels like trying to push a boulder uphill. The bigger the task, the stronger the inertia. Think about it. When you tell yourself you need to write that 5,000-word report or overhaul your entire fitness routine, it feels impossible before you've even begun. Your brain sees the mountain in front of you and decides it's safer to stay at the bottom. So you distract yourself. You scroll, you snack, you do anything but the thing you know you should be doing. And the longer you avoid it, the bigger the task seems in your mind. But here's where things get interesting. Newton's first law of motion doesn't just apply to objects. It applies to you too. Once you're in motion, it's easier to stay in motion. Think about the last time you finally got started on something you'd been putting off. Maybe it was cleaning your room or starting a workout. At first it felt like pulling teeth, but once you got going, something shifted. Suddenly, the task didn't seem so impossible. That's momentum, and it's your secret weapon against laziness. Laziness isn't about a lack of ability or ambition. It's about failing to overcome the initial resistance to action. And once you understand that, you can start to tackle it head-on. But here's the kicker. You can't brute force your way out of inertia. You need a strategy, a way to trick your brain into taking that first step, no matter how small. Because once you're in motion, the game changes. What was once an impossible mountain becomes just another hill to climb. So, if you've been beating yourself up for being lazy, stop. It's not about willpower, and it's not about being good enough. It's about understanding how your mind works and using that knowledge to your advantage. And in the next steps, I'll show you exactly how to do that. But for now, just remember this. The hardest part isn't finishing, it's starting. And once you start, you're already halfway there. Let's talk about laziness from a Stoic perspective. To the Stoics, laziness isn't just about lounging around or avoiding responsibility. It's a betrayal of your nature. They believed that we, as humans, are wired to take action, to contribute, to live purposefully. When you procrastinate or let laziness dictate your life, you're not just wasting time. You're failing to fulfill your role as a rational, capable being. It's harsh, but sometimes the truth needs to sting a little. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, didn't mince words about this. In his Meditations, he reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Laziness, in Stoic terms, is a failure to exercise that power. When you let distractions, excuses, or fleeting emotions control you, you're handing over your mind to chaos. You're letting external things dictate your actions, which is the exact opposite of what the Stoics taught. The Stoics weren't about grand gestures or dramatic changes. They were about disciplined, consistent action. They saw life as a series of choices, each one an opportunity to align yourself with your values. For them, procrastination was more than just a bad habit. It was a failure to live according to reason. If you know what needs to be done, but you choose to avoid it, you're not just being lazy, you're denying your own potential. Harsh? Maybe. But true? Absolutely. The good news is that Stoicism doesn't just point out the problem, it gives you tools to fix it. And one of the most powerful tools is your mind. The Stoics believed that the mind is a weapon, a tool you can sharpen and use to cut through excuses and self-doubt. Laziness often starts in the mind, with thoughts like, "I'll do it later," or "It's too hard right now." But what if you challenged those thoughts? What if you used reason to overpower them? Here's how it works. Instead of focusing on how hard something feels, focus on why it matters. Rationality is your ally here. If you have a task in front of you, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if I start right now? And what's the cost of putting this off? Most of the time, you'll realize that the discomfort of starting is far smaller than the regret of delaying. That's the Stoic way, using logic and willpower to overcome inertia and act, no matter how you feel in the moment. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why most advice about laziness doesn't work. You've probably heard it all before. Delete your social media apps. Turn off notifications, use a timer. And sure, these tips might help you focus for a while, but they're band-aids at best. They don't solve the real problem because they don't address the root cause of laziness. The truth is, laziness isn't about distractions, it's about inertia. Think about it. Even if you get rid of every possible distraction, you can still sit there and do nothing. Why? Because the problem isn't external, it's internal. The hardest part of any task isn't doing it, it's starting. That's where the real battle lies, and that's where most advice falls short. It's like telling someone with a flat tire to roll down the windows. It doesn't fix the underlying issue. What actually works is momentum. In physics, momentum is the product of motion. Once you start moving, it's easier to keep moving. And this principle applies to your habits and actions too. The key to breaking laziness isn't trying to overhaul your entire life in one go. It's about small wins, tiny steps forward that build momentum over time. Let's tie this back to Stoicism. The Stoics taught that progress is incremental. You don't wake up one day and suddenly become the best version of yourself. You get there by taking small, deliberate actions consistently over time. As Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." Here's what that looks like in practice. Instead of saying, "I need to finish this massive project," say, "I just need to take the first step." Maybe it's writing the first sentence, or putting on your workout clothes, or spending just 2 minutes organizing your workspace. The smaller the step, the less resistance you'll feel, and once you start, you'll find it easier to keep going. That's momentum, and it's your best weapon against procrastination. Small wins aren't just about making progress. They're about shifting your mindset. Every time you complete a small task, you're proving to yourself that you can act, that you're capable, that you're not defined by laziness. Over time, these wins build confidence, and confidence fuels even more action. It's a cycle, but this time, it's working in your favor. So, forget the gimmicks and quick fixes. Focus on what really matters. Starting small, building momentum, and staying consistent. That's not just productivity advice. It's Stoic wisdom in action. And when you approach laziness with this mindset, you're not just overcoming procrastination, you're reclaiming control over your life. Let's cut through the noise. Most of the time, the biggest obstacle to getting things done isn't the task itself. It's the mental mountain we build around it. The stakes feel so high, the effort so monumental, that we convince ourselves it's better to do nothing at all. This is where the art of lowering the stakes comes in. It's not about aiming lower. It's about shrinking the first step so much that it feels too small to resist. Think of it this way: if someone handed you a shovel and told you to dig a 10-foot hole, your first instinct might be to balk. But what if they said, "Just dig a little scoop, one spadeful of dirt"? That's manageable. And before you know it, one scoop turns into another, and then another. The same principle applies to the tasks you avoid. Writing a 5,000-word essay feels impossible when you're staring at a blank page. But writing 50 words, that's doable. The beauty of this strategy is that once you start, the momentum often carries you further than you intended. This is where the 2-minute rule comes into play. It's deceptively simple, but incredibly effective. If you don't feel like doing something, just commit to doing it for 2 minutes. That's it. Set a timer, dive in, and when the time's up, you're free to stop. The brilliance of this approach lies in its psychological hack. Once you've started, you'll often find yourself continuing. Why? Because objects in motion stay in motion. The initial resistance fades, and suddenly the task doesn't feel as daunting. Take cleaning your room, for example. You don't have to commit to an all-day deep clean. Put on a song and tell yourself you'll tidy up until the music stops. Or when it comes to working out, lace up your shoes and commit to just 2 minutes of exercise. 9 times out of 10, you'll find yourself going beyond those 2 minutes. It's not about the duration, it's about breaking through the inertia that keeps you stuck. This strategy isn't just practical, it's deeply Stoic. The Stoics were masters of action and rationality. They understood that progress doesn't come from waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect mood. It comes from taking small, deliberate steps forward. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the task you're avoiding is the very thing that will move you forward, as long as you approach it with discipline and reason. Momentum is a powerful thing. Once you've got it, you feel unstoppable. But getting to that point, that's where most people falter. The Stoics viewed consistent action not just as a means to an end, but as a virtue in itself. To them, it wasn't about achieving perfection. It was about showing up every day and doing the work. This mindset transforms momentum from a fleeting burst of energy into a sustainable force that drives long-term progress. Think of momentum as a snowball. At first, it's just a handful of packed snow, small, unassuming, and a little hard to get rolling. But as you push it along, it starts to pick up more snow, growing larger and moving faster. The same is true for your efforts. Small actions compound over time, creating a ripple effect that turns into significant results. It's not about moving mountains. It's about the steady, consistent push that eventually gets you there. The key to maintaining momentum lies in your daily habits. These aren't the grand, sweeping gestures that get all the attention. They're the small, quiet routines that build the foundation for everything else. The Stoics understood this well. They believed that habits shape character, and character shapes destiny. If you want to build momentum, start by designing habits that require minimal mental energy but create maximum impact over time. For example, instead of committing to an hour of journaling every day, start with a single sentence. Instead of planning an elaborate workout, commit to a 5-minute stretch. These tiny habits might seem insignificant on their own, but they're the building blocks of something much larger. Each small win reinforces your confidence and makes the next step feel more achievable. Over time, these habits become second nature, and the momentum you've built carries you further than you ever thought possible. The Stoics remind us that success isn't about extraordinary bursts of effort. It's about ordinary actions done consistently. Epictetus put it best: first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This isn't just philosophical advice. It's a blueprint for building momentum. Decide what you want to achieve, break it down into daily actions, and commit to showing up, no matter how small the step. Momentum isn't magic. It's methodical. It's the result of choosing to act, even when you don't feel like it. It's about taking ownership of your time, your energy, and your choices. And when you approach it with the discipline of a Stoic, you'll find that momentum doesn't just help you overcome laziness. It transforms you into the person you've always wanted to be. Failure is a word that sends chills down the spine of even the most ambitious among us. It's not the act of failing itself that holds us back. It's the fear of it. The fear of looking foolish, of wasting time, of confirming our worst suspicions that maybe, just maybe, we're not good enough. That fear becomes a wall, a barrier that stops us from even taking the first step. And so, we remain stuck, paralyzed by what might happen, rather than driven by what could. But here's the thing: failure is inevitable. The Stoics knew this better than anyone. They understood that life is unpredictable and that outcomes are never guaranteed. What matters isn't the result, it's the effort. Marcus Aurelius, in his timeless wisdom, put it simply: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, the very thing you fear, the potential for failure, is the thing that will push you forward if you let it. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control. Can you guarantee that every project you start will be a success? No. but you can guarantee the effort you put in. You can control how much you prepare, how much you show up, and how much you commit to learning from the process. The Stoics remind us that the true failure isn't in the outcome, it's in the refusal to act at all. Because when you don't act, you rob yourself of the chance to grow, to improve, and to surprise yourself with what you're capable of. It's time to redefine success. Stop measuring it by perfection or external validation. Instead, measure it by progress. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a victory. Every time you try, even if you stumble, you're moving closer to your goals. The Stoics understood that success isn't about reaching some grand final destination. It's about the journey, the consistent effort to become a better version of yourself. When you shift your mindset in this way, failure stops being something to fear. It becomes a stepping stone, a teacher, and sometimes the most valuable part of the process. If you want to make your ambitions a reality, you need more than just discipline. You need purpose. Without a clear vision of why you're doing what you're doing, it's easy to lose focus or get discouraged. The Stoics emphasized living with purpose, aligning your actions with a greater sense of meaning. It's not enough to say, "I want to be successful." You need to ask yourself, why? Why does this goal matter to you? What impact do you want to have? What kind of person do you want to become? Purpose isn't just a motivator, it's a compass. It helps you prioritize what truly matters and let go of distractions that don't serve your bigger picture. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what's within our control, and that starts with clarifying our intentions. You can't control the outcome of every effort, but you can control whether or not your actions align with your purpose. That alignment is where true progress happens. Let's look at some practical examples. Say your goal is to advance in your career. Instead of obsessing over promotions or recognition, things largely outside your control, focus on becoming excellent at what you do. Master your skills, build strong relationships, and show up consistently. These are actions you can control, and they will naturally lead to the outcomes you desire. In health, it's easy to get discouraged by slow progress. But instead of fixating on the scale or the perfect physique, focus on daily habits, eating nutritious meals, staying active, and getting enough rest. Each of these actions is a step toward your goal, and over time, they compound into significant change. Relationships? The Stoic approach is clear. Focus on being the kind of friend, partner, or family member you'd want to have. You can't control how others behave, but you can control how you show up. By bringing kindness, patience, and integrity to your interactions, you create stronger, more fulfilling connections. And when it comes to personal growth, the same principles apply. Want to learn a new skill, write a book, or start a side hustle? Break it down into small, manageable steps. Focus on what you can do today, not the overwhelming magnitude of the entire project. Remember, progress is success. Stoicism isn't just a philosophy. It's a toolkit for achieving your goals with clarity and resilience. It reminds us that we don't have to conquer the whole mountain in one leap. All we have to do is take the next step, and then the next, and then the next. Purpose gives you direction, and small, consistent actions keep you moving forward. When you approach your goals this way, fear fades, distractions lose their grip, and you become unstoppable. Let's strip it down to the simplest truth. Nothing changes until you take the first step. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be something. The hardest part of any journey is starting, but once you move, even just an inch, you set a chain reaction in motion. That's the power of small steps. They're unassuming, but they're the foundation of every great achievement. Think of all the goals, dreams, and ambitions you've been putting off. They're not waiting for the right time or the perfect conditions. They're waiting for you to take action, waiting for you to stop overthinking, stop doubting, and just begin. You don't need to have the whole plan figured out. You don't need to know every detail. You just need to start. Momentum is your ally. It doesn't matter how slow you go, as long as you're moving. Start writing those 50 words. Go for that 2-minute walk. Clean one corner of the room. These actions may seem small, even trivial, but they have the power to break inertia and transform your life. Remember, it's not about sprinting. It's about showing up every single day and letting your consistent effort compound into greatness. The Stoics would tell you this: action is what matters. As Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The very things you fear, avoid, or procrastinate on are the keys to your growth. Face them, step by step, with courage and determination. So, here's your challenge. Take one step today. Just one. Don't wait for tomorrow or next week. Right now, decide what small action you can take to move closer to your goals. It doesn't matter if it feels insignificant. What matters is that you start. Because once you do, everything changes. You have everything you need within you: the strength, the discipline, the ability to act. So, stop waiting, stop doubting, and take the first step. Your future self will thank you. If you've made it this far, comment, "I choose action over excuses," to declare your commitment to breaking free from laziness and embracing your ambition with purpose. Remember, ambition without action is just a dream. The smallest step forward is always better than the greatest intention left undone. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe for more insights on turning potential into purpose. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder of the power they hold to change their life. Stay strong, stay focused, and keep striving for greatness. See you in the next one.